Um, so welcome everybody to, I don't even know what week we are on of Dare to Elite. I wanted to start off the call just by touching on some housekeeping type things, I guess, related to Dare to Elite. I've gotten everybody that's filled out the survey. I've gotten all of your responses. So if you haven't filled out the survey, make sure to go on there and do it. Even if you're not competing in Dare to Elite for prizes, I still would love to hear your feedback just because this is the first time we're going through it, and I want to improve each time. Continue doing this for anybody's new builders as they are trying to go for new things in their business. So I love hearing feedback. And then the second thing is, if you are competing for prizes, I am going to be working on getting communication out to all of you this week to get your prizes, because we will give out prizes each month of Dare to Elite. So just to say, wait, and we'll be in touch with you about all that. And then the last thing that I was going to say, I'm not remembering. Oh, you guys can all look forward to it like the week right before leadership, which I think is the 20th. Not next week, but the week after that. We're going to have one of my friends on the call who is a Strength Finders coach. And so if you have taken Strength Finders, make sure to have your list easy to access. And if you haven't taken Strength Finders, I would definitely encourage you to talk with your upline about it. It's an awesome test. If you haven't taken it in time for the call, that's not a big deal. It's still going to be a great call to learn more about what Strength Finders is and just really the value of being able to identify in yourself what makes you unique and good at the things that you're good at. So that's what we'll be talking about that week. But today we're going to specifically start off with Tyler, and he is going to share more on what it looks like to have a residual income focus in your business. And this is like super, super important. And for me, when I was just beginning in my business, I felt like it took me a while to really grasp what that meant, how it meant to what it actually looked like to prioritize my time according to what would help me build a residual income. So anyways, Tyler's going to cover that today for the first half of our call, and then I'm going to dive into super duper practicals on what it looks like to follow up effectively. And then for anybody that's on the call that is a leader above, or especially any silvers and above, I would love for you, we'll do like a little mini break in between Tyler's and mine. So if there's anything that you would like to contribute or to share from your experience on focusing on residual income, or when it comes to follow-up, we definitely want you guys to have a space to share your insight and what you've experienced. If you don't have anything, no worries. You don't have to share anything, because I know this is totally on the spot. We have stuff prepped, so we'll be good. But anyways, that's what we're going to be talking about today. So here you go, Tyler.
Thanks, Chris. We're on separate computers, but we're actually sitting right next to each other. So if you hear some noise in each other's mics, that's probably why. But yeah, I'm excited tonight to share a little bit about, it will be practical, but it's going to mostly be like mindset stuff, focusing on pipeline building, on residual income versus carrying buckets, or what we call earned income. So I'm going to, I think a lot of you have probably heard the parable of the pipeline. Has anyone heard that story about the guy who was hauling buckets and decided to build a pipeline? If not, we're going to start off our time with that story quickly. And do me a favor and pretend like you've never heard it before. Try to listen to it with fresh ears. And I'm going to pull up the little images, and it's the shortened version of the story. So this is straight from, can you guys see my screen? Can you see my screen?
No, we can't.
Oops.
That should work. That's how we did it. Okay.
There we go. Sorry. Okay, so this is straight from the build guide. Are you ready for financial freedom? And then here's the little story. There was a man who hauled buckets of water for a living. Every day he hauled water from the nearest source to his village miles away. If he wanted to make more money, he would simply work longer hauling buckets. After many years, he grew weary of hauling buckets. Then inspiration came. If he used his spare time to build a pipeline, eventually he could be free from hauling buckets. So he labored diligently for a few years to build his pipeline. The day he turned on the spigot, everything changed. He successfully created an unlimited supply of water and improved the lifestyle for the villagers and himself, resulting in an abundant financial pipeline. And then this little note down here: many people spend their lives trading hours for dollars and lack fulfillment or a sense of purpose. With doTERRA, anyone can choose to create time, energy, and financial freedom through building a lasting residual pipeline. So there's going to be a little participation activity here. If you've heard the story before, again, try to respond as if this was your first time hearing the story. And if it was your first time, that's great. But after hearing this story, what are your initial knee-jerk reactions? Like, what's the first thought as you hear the short story? What's the first thought that pops into your mind? Go ahead and type it in the chat. Smart dude, I want that. When you hear this story, what's the first thing that pops into your mind? Takes hard work to get where you want to go. Hard work pays off. Good. We will all grow weary someday. Our time is very valuable, so make the most of it. I'd get pretty sore carrying those buckets. Deep blue. Somebody should share a sample with him. Improved his life and the villagers' lives. Yeah, that's important. The day he turned on the spigot, he's committed. I know what you meant, Michael. All right. Yeah, so a few things that went through my mind. I tried to listen to it again with fresh ears. There's a lot of different things. Could be that it sounds too good to be true. You might think it was too easy. You might think that's too hard. Sounds great, kind of like what Kristen said. I want that. Sounds great. And then I came to this one. If it were that good, why wouldn't everyone do it? I mean, why was it him? Why didn't somebody before him who was a bucket hauler, why didn't somebody do it? Or, thinking about doTERRA, why doesn't everyone do it? And you guys probably have some answers too, but some things that I came up with was it requires change, a change of mindset, and a change of, your whole life for a little while. It probably took some risk for him to invest in all those pipes and all the materials. It's a lot of hard work, sacrifice. He had to give up time. He had to give up maybe some TV or something. If he's hauling buckets, I don't know if they had TVs. And give up family time. Yeah. So those are some things that I came up with. You probably can think of your own. Why doesn't everyone build a pipeline? And then going back to those three pictures, the first one of him hauling the buckets, the second one of him working really hard doing both, hauling buckets and building the pipeline. And then the third picture of the spigot turned on. And as I was just thinking about that story again, something hit me, is that I feel like a lot of us can see the first picture and we identify with that. I mean, I did as of, I mean, as recently as 3 months ago, I was in the hauling bucket model. And I mean, we both were for the first 5-6 years of our marriage. And both of our parents were in that model. I think a lot of us can identify with that model. And then we see the third box with the spigot turned on and we're like, oh, that looks really good. But the key is actually the second box, and that's where all the hard work is. And there were a lot of you alluded to this. Hard work pays off. Well, Don says we'll all grow weary someday. It's like, yeah, eventually we'll hit this point where we see where we're at, and we see a different option, and we want that. And the question is, where the rubber hits the road is what does it take to get there? And that's great, because that's why I think why a lot of you are on this call. And we love to be a part of a community that wants to build pipelines together. But it doesn't work to skip from the first picture to the third picture, obviously. And I just wanted to share just a glimpse into our own story, not to just talk about ourselves. You could talk to many people in doTERRA, and they'd tell you similar stories, because I don't think anyone that hits, the ranks of platinum and diamond and beyond, I don't think anyone would tell you that it was easy. That's one thing I don't think anyone would say, that it was easy. But just a glimpse into our story, from my perspective. You've heard Kristen's perspective. But there were, even before we did Diamond Club, so before Diamond Club, hear that, there were often weeks, 2 to 3 times a week, I would get home from working my 8-hour, 9-hour job every day, and we would basically trade places. I would take Elliot, and we'd spend time together and do a meal and do bedtime and everything, while Kristen was out, whether it was doing wellness consults or classes or one-on-ones or whatever. And that was before Diamond Club. And there were just many times when we would have to sit down, because the first time I took StrengthsFinder, I had positivity in my top 5. So I'm generally a positive person. But there were even times when I was just like, Chris, this is crazy. What are we doing? What is this all worth it? Like, this is not always the most fun. Elliot is awesome, but it was kind of exhausting to come home from work, and then my wife goes out the door and I have him for the rest of the night. But yeah, so there were just several times we had to have a sit down conversation and be like, okay, is this what we're doing together? Is this what we're committing to? Is this what we're working on? What we were really deciding is, are we going to finish building this pipeline or not? And not to say we have finished building the pipeline. We are still wanting to help you guys build pipelines. But then during Diamond Club, like I said, this was before Diamond Club. During Diamond Club, so July through November, August through November, this past fall, I was laying in bed one time and I was counting back. I was like, Kristen has had classes or events or something every night for the last 8 nights. And then I kept, the more I would think about it, I was like, oh no, wait, it was actually 9 nights. Wait, it was 10 nights. Wait, it's been 11 nights. Like, and I'm not saying this is what everyone's story has to look like. This is just what our story looked like. Everyone's going to have different high points and low points. But for us, it was really hard. And I can tell you that even though it was really hard, it's been worth it, because our focus, I wouldn't say perfectly, but our focus has been, we want to build a pipeline. And we're going to talk a little bit about that tonight, what that looks like. As far as mindset. and then Kristen will get into some more of the practicals. But first, I wanted to talk a little bit about the difference between passive income and residual income. A lot of people will use them interchangeably. Passive income is pretty rare unless you already have like a pile of money sitting and doing nothing, and you just invest it into bonds or stocks or something that pay you dividends. Passive income is literally like you put money into a money machine and it gives you money back, which is ideal eventually. But for a lot of us starting doTERRA, what we're looking for is residual income. And this is where doTERRA, the business opportunity in doTERRA, really shines brightly. The difference is residual income does take some work. It takes work, it takes maintenance, it takes ongoing effort. But doTERRA's customer retention rate is 65%, which is really, really at least 65%. It can be as high as 80%, depending on the time of year and depending on what team and how much education is going on, all those things. But company-wide, it's 65%, which is really, really stinking good if you do any research and think about or find what national averages are for, even for network marketing companies, but even national brands, retention rates are not that high. So it's because of that customer retention that residual income is possible through doTERRA. And just briefly, I want to review the acronym PIPES.
Can you explain practicals of what residual income is?
What do you mean?
Like you just said what passive income is, but you didn't explain like what is residual income.
So
and when was it real for us?
So residual income, I don't know if you guys can hear Kristen, probably not. She just asked me a question. Behind the scenes, she asked for an example of residual income and what it looks like for us. So residual income is, there's work involved, but you do the majority of the work up front, and then there's maintaining to do. So using the example of the pipeline, that would be residual income, because I assume that guy is either maintaining his pipeline, protecting it from other people, oiling it, making sure all the nuts and bolts are tight. Like he's maintaining his investment, he's maintaining his business that he has built. But the bulk of the work is done up front, and then beyond that point is maintaining it. For us, what that looks like now is over the last 4 months, so basically since we've been hitting diamond, our gross income has been about $10,000 a month. That's before taxes, before business expenses, before everything. And about 60% of that is what I would consider truly residual income. That's like our unilevel check and our power of three. Power of three is kind of residual, kind of not, but we'll talk about the compensation plan here in a minute.
So I'll unmute myself for a second. Tyler is so financially minded that sometimes he talks, and for all of us not financially minded people, it's like, whew. So I get this now, but I did not get this when I first began doTERRA, and I feel like it's so crucial. Like when I was asking him practically speaking, I mean like literally like the first time I took maternity leave in doTERRA, I was kind of doing doTERRA with Melissa at that point, and I like had Elliot. I wasn't doing much with doTERRA. I was just texting with Melissa here and there, and we got checks over my maternity leave for $300, $400, and then like $300 per month. So not that much, but at the same time, like that was an income that was coming in somewhat passively. I had done the work up front, and I was still kind of maintaining it. Like I was talking to Melissa at the time and talking with other people that I had shared doTERRA with, but I wasn't actively going in to work for X amount of hours and working it. I was like just doing things to maintain it, like he's talking about. Oh, you should mute yourself quick.
Whoops.
Sorry, thanks, Christina. So anyways, that was like the first time that residual income hit me. Basically, residual income is you're getting paid when you're like, it's not like hour by hour that you're getting paid for. You're getting paid for all the work that you've collectively put in over time. So like what I'm getting paid as a diamond, I don't know. Maybe you can take it home better than that, but that was like the train I'm trying to take it on.
No, I think that was great.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about pipe. Did you mute yourselves? We're going to talk about pipe building briefly. So pipes, the acronym, the first 5 weeks of the Dare to Elite calls were one of these letters of the acronym were the focus of each of the first 5 weeks of these calls. And if you missed them, you can always go back in the Dare to Elite Facebook group in the pinned post. All the recordings from each week are there. Side note. So the first P is prepare. And this is like, I'm not going to go in depth in all these, but prepare is learning about the oils, using the oils, preparing for classes, like scheduling them, asking people to be hosts. The I is for inviting. And when it comes to inviting, generally, the more personal the invite, the more effective the invite is going to be. The second P is present or teach, which is actually, whether it's one-on-one or in a class, just sharing what you know, sharing what you've experienced. Don't overcomplicate it. Just be genuine with people and share how the oils have benefited you and your family. The E is enroll, which is really just helping people get what they want. And what people want is the result that the oils provide. They might not know that they actually want oils yet, but they do want the result that the oils provide. So keep that in mind when you're enrolling people. And then the S is support, which is basically serving. Like, we are in the business of serving our team. We're in the business of serving our friends and family using the vehicle of essential oils. And speaking about prior week's calls, Melissa did a really good call a few weeks ago about supporting. I think it was how to care for your team. Mm-hmm. So go back and listen to that one too. Another audience participation question. What was E? E is enroll. Thanks. So type in the chat. Maybe it's something I just said, but could be something I didn't say. What are some, from your experience, what are some pipeline building activities? Just go ahead and type them in there. What are some pipeline building activities? Inviting. Yes. Follow-ups. Membership overviews, getting people on LRP. Great. Education. Enroll. Making friendships. Yeah. Membership overviews for sure. Building relationships and trust, supporting each other, support. Yep, great. Creating doTERRA obsessed people. 200 level classes and contact. This is a lot of good stuff. Teaching classes, one-on-ones, building community, intro to biz and biz overviews. Awesome. Okay, switching gears a little bit. Actually, completely. So those were some good examples of pipeline building activities. What are not pipeline building activities? So as we are building this business, we all have done this, so it's not like confession or anything. What are some things that we get trapped doing or in a rut of doing that are not pipeline building activities?
Read them all out loud.
Sure. Organizing my oil supplies, although I am a fellow organizer, that is rewarding sometimes. Continued sampling, organizing supplies for the office, group texting, organize. Got a lot of organizers here. Looking at back office, posting about doTERRA every day on your Facebook. Yes, refreshing my back office. Worrying about what people will think. That's a good one. Watching all the videos. Lots of trainings, videos from higher level leaders. It's good stuff. I need to take action with it. That's good. Making roller bottles to sell or DIYs to sell. Good intentions, no action. Great. Yeah, you guys should be teaching this. Making props for vendor shows, planning, but not doing. Right. Good. Thank you. How are we doing on time? Okay. So I always talk longer than I think I will. We're going to talk a little bit about the compensation plan. But we're not going to go into depth. I know we have a lot of people on here that are newer to the business. And honestly, I was an accountant and it took me a while to fully grasp the compensation plan. So don't feel like you have to fully understand it yet. But keep in mind that doTERRA created their compensation plan drawing from lots of different companies' compensation plans. They studied over 200 companies' compensation plans, network marketing companies. And they took the best of the best and tried to put them together. So it is a little complicated, but it's complicated intentionally for the benefit of us, the wellness advocates. So I'll just quickly run through the 5 ways. There's retail, which is completely hauling buckets. That's like giving people your website. They pay 25% more than we pay, and you make the difference. That's retail, and we do not recommend that. Then there's Fast Start. That is enrolling people, getting people on your team. And that's where, to an extent, it's great. It fills a needed gap in doTERRA compensation, but largely it's the income you get from it is hauling buckets. But obviously, getting people on your team helps with building the pipeline. Then there is Power of 3, which is the structural bonus, and this is where we start to get more into the residual side. But it takes maintenance. You have to continue to be serving your team and answering questions and supporting your team, and finding other people to do the business with you for the Power of 3 structural bonus to really become a residual bonus. And then there's Unilevel, which is by far the most residual type of income that doTERRA offers. And that's where after somebody's first 60 days, you get a percentage of everything they order for as long as they are with doTERRA. It's a small percentage, but the percentage gets higher the deeper they are in your organization. Again, don't get too bogged down in the details. We're talking about pipeline building mindset. The 5th way of compensation is performance pools, which is basically doTERRA global profit sharing with, and that's dependent on your rank. So the way that the compensation plan is built incentivizes us. When you begin to understand the compensation plan, it incentivizes us to build pipelines, and it incentivizes us to work together to help each other build our pipelines, which is amazing and really helpful, because this business would be a lot harder to do if we were all doing it on our own. So we're going to focus just for the next couple minutes on Unilevel, and then I'll give Kristen time. I know she's got a lot to talk about too. So since Unilevel is the most, it's the most pipeline-like income in doTERRA, just wanted to give some tips on long-term unilevel building. The first one is identifying and having conversations with people that you want to do this business with together, that you think, like Dana talked about a couple weeks ago, Dana Moore, she said, sometimes we make building a doTERRA business really daunting to people. And her approach, which apparently has worked for her, is to just ask people to be hosts and ask if they are willing to be a sharer, or what's worked the most for us, I would say, is just helping people fall in love with their oils and see all the benefits and see all the uses. And the people that love them and will share them with other people, they'll emerge. But you have to be willing to have those conversations with people. Like, hey, I noticed you place a huge order every month. Would you be willing to host a class, or would you ever be interested in earning an income helping other people use oils? Like simple questions like that. So having conversations with people to get interested in sharing and building is key. Often starts with hosting the class. The second thing is to place, so people that have no interest in doing the business. This is the second key, placing them as deep as possible in your organization, which obviously depends on the first key, which is finding people to place them under. But it's really, really key. As much as possible, we want to avoid really long front lines, because that kills our unit level in the long run, because we're paid on the highest percentage on the lowest level in our organization. It's not the end of the world if you do have a long front line. We had a long front line, and there's some things you can do to rectify that over time. But that's why we're here, because we want to save you some of the pain that we went through building our business. So as you want to place customers as deep as possible, as quickly as possible, as often as possible. And then the third thing is caring for your team. We already talked about it a little bit, but really serving and caring for the people that are on your team, in addition to enrolling new people. But don't forget about the people that are already on your team. Continue inviting them to events, continue reaching out to them and seeing if there's if they have any questions, or if there's any oils that they're interested in trying, or you guys do this a lot. But it's really important. I think it's easy to overlook and constantly be looking for new enrollments. We really want to take care of our teams. And then the fourth thing is duplicating yourself. So as you are doing the pipes, the preparing, inviting, presenting, enrolling, supporting, duplicating those things into people that are on your team that want to do the same, that are interested in earning an income. Because this business is awesome. It really is. Sorry, that was really fast, but I had a lot to say. And I left Kristen about 20 minutes. So if you have questions, we don't really have time for them right now, I don't think. But once this video is posted, please jot them down. If there's something I said that doesn't make sense, jot them down. And when we post this video in the Facebook group, then post your question there, and I will try to get it.
Sweet. Thanks, Tyler. So I know all that stuff, if you're like me, is like not the most fun, but it's so valuable and helpful in your business. And I can't even tell you how much I would have thought of that more. I'll be honest that action wise, this wasn't one of the biggest mistake that I made action wise in my business to not build residually was that I didn't talk to people about the business. And I know that there's lots of people on the call that are kind of like me. I'll just be honest, because we're scared, which I don't know why we're scared. It's so silly. Now that I am not afraid anymore, I'm like, what the heck? I was not being fair to people. I was not sharing something that could change their life. Like I get frustrated with myself, but you learn through your journey, right? So I would also add to the residual income list that it's really important to quickly identify what your limiting beliefs are. Don't be in denial mode. Like, don't pretend like you're doing it perfect. Like, just like try to find what those limiting beliefs are that are holding you back, and like go after them. Start watching trainings on them. Like, if you're still afraid to share the biz, it is important to watch videos that are about sharing the biz and get inspired about that. Watch videos or read the leadership magazine where there's people's that their lives have been changed by doTERRA, and like get fed by that. Like start believing it, like see it, how it's changed people's lives, and allow that to open you to give that space to people. And go back and watch The Art of Finding Builders. Like I wish I would have like dove into that deeper sooner, because it really would have, like, that's why we had such a long front line, partially because I didn't have any clue what I was doing with placements. And second of all, because I didn't dive in more with like why I was held back in sharing the business. So anyways, we're going to dive into super nitty gritty practicals on follow-up. And one thing I'll say right away is a very practical action step for all of my silvers and above for sure, and most of my elites and above. Anybody on here that has somebody on their team that considers themselves a builder that is not on this call tonight, and you don't know why, or maybe you know why they're not on this call, I would still encourage you to have a day on your schedule every single week where you're checking in with your builders and like seeing like, hey, did you watch the replay from Tuesday? What was your number one takeaway? Just processing with them, because I'll tell you, like you in your mind maybe think you're a pest, but I would have loved to have somebody that was like proactively putting stuff in my mind every single week that I needed to be doing with my business. And yeah, I just like, I wish I would have had more direct guidance. And so you don't know what a gift you are to people that say they want to do the business. And if you can tell right now that they, like, maybe you have that emotional intelligence and you're like, oh, but it really does feel like I'm bugging them. They maybe haven't responded to me for multiple texts or whatever it is, then get lifey with them. Be like, can we go out for wine? Can we go out for coffee? Can we hang out? Can we like get together? Like, I want to see how life is going, and then just hear where they're at. And one thing I'll say with that is when a new builder starts, I haven't done this for most of my building existence, but I try to now. An important question to ask of them is, there's going to come a point in doTERRA where you feel stuck and you're going to start to pull away from me, and you're going to stop talking to me because you feel stuck and something's going to be hard. And it's not like a 9-to-5 job where I'm your boss and I'm going to be telling you what to do every day, but you're going to pull away from me. And how do you want me to respond when that happens? What do you want me to do to help? And 9 times out of 10, they're going to tell you, like, I want you to still reach out. Like, they'll tell you something. And then you know how you can respond to them with love and help them through that. And maybe the answer is that they still don't want to do the business, or they don't want to do the business now. They decided it's not for them, whatever it is. I'll tell you, I've never really had somebody tell that straight to my face except for one person. And I love her. It's great. And we're working through it right now. But it's so valuable for my relationship with her to know where she's at. Otherwise, it's this awkward thing hanging in the room that we can never talk through because she just doesn't respond to my text. Like, that's weird when you're friends and you do a business together. So anyways, practical example, put a thing on your schedule that's literally like a day that you follow up with builders, or you reach out to new people on your team that are oil obsessed and you ask them if they want to do a business overview. Or you just like get creative. Like, how am I looking to find other business builders to do this with? Maybe you're reaching out to a really close friend to get together and you see if they'd be interested in doing it with you. Like, just add that to your calendar as a residual building activity. And part of sharing the business, again, I'll come back to, is so simple. Today I enrolled somebody, and what question did I ask her? I got on the phone with her, even though I've never talked with her before. I said, hey, I texted her. I was like, hey, or no, it was Facebook Messenger. She was actually a referral. And I was like, hey, can I call you? I'll quick guide you through how to enroll. I didn't send her a link because I wanted to talk to her. I had never talked to her before. And I asked her, I told her she could be a wholesale member or a wellness advocate. I explained the difference. And you know what she said? She's like, well, I mean, like, I want to learn right away. So, like, for right now, I want to be a wholesale member. So, what did that tell me? Like, right away, I know deep down, like, she has this little question, like, oh, maybe I do want to do this as a business, but right now I want to learn. I'm like, great. That's exactly how I was. Awesome. I'd love to support you that way. But now I know that in the future I can share the business with her because she's curious about it, and it gives me that freedom. So all that to say, I want everybody to share in the comments, and I want you all to be like really real. Is Melissa still on her couch? She might have to get up to comment. So I want everybody to share if you've ever shared a sample, had a person at a class, or maybe you met them at a vendor show. You have their contact information and you've not followed up with them. Who has people like that? I know I do. I have some people that I have not followed up with. Yes, see, we're all guilty. We're all guilty. And who has like met somebody and they've experienced oils from somebody else and you followed up with them and you got to enroll them? I've had that happen. Who has talked to somebody else that's already enrolled in doTERRA but has no idea how to use their oils? Or Young Living, let's be real. And who has enrolled someone but never done a membership overview with that person? So like you've been on the flip side. You've enrolled somebody and you've not followed up with them and educated them. I definitely have. Oh my gosh, at the beginning of my business, asked Melissa if she had a membership overview. That's why she'd ordered standard order for so long. Yeah, see, so like I think in that all these questions, like my point is like I just like want you all to see like the importance of following up, like from both ends. And it's not that we're all perfect or all we all get everything done in our business that we want to, but like follow up is so crucial in our business. Like this is like one of the biggest things, like hands down. Like I don't know, I wish we could take a poll with the diamonds and above. Actually, I was searching around. There's a diamonds and above Facebook page. It's like a gold mine. There's so much good stuff on there, and I was just searching follow up and seeing what it said. And I'm going to share a post in the Dare to Elite group later this week. But literally, like there was one guy, he just said like how, or like to share an example basically of how you've been like one step away, or no, you've taken one step and it's like literally like boom, changed your business, changed it completely, you know? So like an example for me could be like the day that I chose to walk into the yoga bar and get a membership and keep going back. And I met Danny and I followed up with her. Like those were all like little steps on my way to get my silver leg that enabled me to hit diamond. And I'm sure, like, I mean, Melissa, maybe you have some examples, Laura, like any of the silvers and above, share one of those like steps in the comments where it's like, you could have not done it, but you did it and it exploded your business, or it like created a big ripple effect. You can think on it for a while. But a stat to share with you guys, I know a lot of you guys have probably heard it before, but 79% of leads have never been followed up with, meaning like 79% of people have been shared with in some way, shape, or form about essential oils, about doTERRA. They've been given a sample and then they've not been followed up with. And I'm telling you that like 79% is like totally where the money's at. like, it's a gold mine. Like, when you follow up with those people, it's so crucial. And like, I don't know, this is the only way that I'm a high enroller. Like, I am a little bit more on the extroverted side, and I would say, like, in person, I'm really good at connecting with people and loving on them. I know that's my skill set, but if I did not follow up with them, it's not like I walk around every day and I like enroll people right away. That is not the case at all. It's like, this weekend, I'll share a live later this week. I went to a yoga training and I met like 5 people, and they're all on my follow-up list now. I shared Deep Blue with them all because we were all sore. And one girl could be like a killer business builder on my team soon. So it's like, and you know what? I went to that yoga training, left Sunday, and I threw up Sunday on my whole way home multiple times in the car. Got home Monday, my family's here, and I'm telling you, I've texted them all since I left, because follow-up is so important. And did I text them right away and say, hey, you want to buy oils? No. I texted them and said, hey, how was your drive home? How are you feeling today? Like, are you sore like me? Like, blah. And then after we texted back and forth a little bit, I said, did you use your Deep Blue? Are you liking it? Like, it's all like super lifey, and I'm just following up with them. So anyways, it does not have to be complicated at all. I'm telling you, it is so not complicated for me. I can't even share a script with you guys. That's how not complicated it is. Like, I will read you a text and you'll be like, are you like talking to one of your friends? Like, and I'm like, yes, she is my friend now. So this is Ashley. And right after, okay, so when I was there, we were chatting during a break, and I'm like, how did it even come up? I just, any chance I can, I bring in doTERRA. So somehow I brought up doTERRA, and she was super interested, and she was like, she's like, oh, can you use oils on kids? Because I said something about using them with Elliot, and it just transitioned into oils. So anyways, I was like, oh yeah, totally. And we ended up talking. I was like, I could totally do a call with you and teach you more about the oils you have. And she was like, and she like just was like, oh, well, is doTERRA special? Are they like better? Like, because I've always worried if mine are pure enough. And I was like, oh, well, you're bringing it right to me. Nice. And so I just kept going into it. And anyways, I gave her a sample, and then I asked her to add her number to my phone, and that way we'd connect again. I just said, here, go ahead. And the key is confidence. You just pass your phone over and you say, like, I practiced it multiple times this weekend. Like, here, go ahead, just add your number to my phone, and then we can stay in touch after the training. And she added it, and I texted her and I said, hey, Ashley, your light is so beautiful. Kristen Tegas. Because seriously, this girl was like amazing. I was just drawn to her. Like, I don't know if you've ever had those people that are just like encouraging to be around. This was this person. So I encouraged her, and then she said, thank you, loved hanging out with you guys this weekend. We are now a tribe, is what she said. And I said, yes, so excited to stay in touch and help you learn more about oils too. And then I texted her the next day after we left, and I said, hey, Ashley, how are you feeling today? Did you get home safe? She said, hey, love, feeling great. My glutes are sore. My knee is squeaking. LOL. How are you? I'm glad you're reaching out because I haven't unpacked my bag. I need to try your oil. I was like, oh, yes, you do. And then I said, haha, yeah, I've been using it a lot. I got sick on my way home, blah, blah, blah. You see, like, it literally sounds like she's my friend because I just made her my friend. Not complicated. I can't even share a script with you because I went to that training and my goal was to make friends. I was like, I'm going to go up to people and I'm just going to ask them a heck of a lot of questions about themselves, and I'm going to become their friends. And what happens is when you learn about people's lives, you just fall in love with them, and you're like, oh my gosh, you're amazing. Oh my gosh, you've overcome so much. Like, I don't know. It's just like, it gives you the opportunity to like really learn about them and know how you can serve them. And I feel like that is so crucial. So anyways, coming back to what I was actually going to go through, is the first group of people that you want to follow up with is people that you've shared a sample with, of course, if you want to write this down, if you're a note taker. Number 2, people that didn't enroll at a class. So if you're currently having classes or even one-on-ones, obviously, or vendor shows, like any of these ways that you're sharing oils, if you share a sample, it is crucial to have a way to follow up with that person. Crucial. So in this example, what I told myself this weekend, I'm so guilty. I've totally shared samples before and not gotten the person's number because I'm too afraid to ask for it. I totally have. So if you've done that, just know that you're not alone. But what I'll say is this weekend, I practiced and I was like, okay, it's all about confidence. I've seen people model the confidence, like, and I just got to do it. So anyways, I shared a sample with this one girl at the very end. Like, I mean, I literally was putting the deep blue back in my bag and the lady saw all the oils in my bag and she goes, oh, what's that? I was like, oh, let me tell you. Um, and so she's like looking in my bag at all the oils and I'm like, yeah, this is deep blue. You want to try it? Are you sore at all? And she's like, oh, my shoulders. I'm like, oh, great. Perfect. So I gave her some deep blue. She's like, wow, it smells so good. I can feel it already. Anyways, I was like, and literally I was like not in the mood to talk to this girl at this time because I just had multiple conversations. I was drained from working out this whole time. Like I was just like, oh, I can't do it anymore. But I was like, but I need her number. I can't give her a sample without giving her my number. I said, you know, I'd love to give you a sample. Let me get you a bottle. I'm like looking at through my bottles, putting my deep blue in it, blah, blah, blah. We're talking. I'm like, here, just go ahead and add your number to my phone and I'll text you afterwards and see how it's working. Literally all I said, but I said it with confidence. I did not say, here, if you want to add your number to my phone, I can follow up with you. I said, here, add your number to my phone and I'm going to check in with you and see how it's working. Like I was excited. I was confident. It was exactly how I said it. So if you want a script, there's a script. Here, add your number to my phone so I can follow up with you and see how it's working because I care. So anyways, going back to that, sorry, again, I'm off topic, but so for people that didn't enroll at a class or a vendor show or a one-on-one, you have to make sure you have a way to follow up with them. So just on a practical note, when you're having a class, that's one of the reasons you'll see that a lot of the people on the LDC have giveaways at their classes. Because the reality is you are going to have classes where you don't know the people that are there. And this includes online classes, which I will say I'm not an expert on online classes, but you, like, if it's on Facebook, obviously you're going to have their follow-ups if you're friends with them. But you have to make sure, again, that there's a way to follow up with them. So whether that's like in a Facebook class, that could be you do a giveaway and you require them to fill out a Google survey, and the Google survey requires them to put their contact information, their preferred contact method in there. Or if it's an in-person class, you do a giveaway form. And on the giveaway form, you have their contact information included there. And if you need like an example of a giveaway form, or you want to use a giveaway form that you can just print yourself for $0, well, whatever ink is, I guess, and paper, but there's one on the educators page under the files tab. Otherwise, there's great ones that you can get even from like Live Naturally or other like aroma tools and stuff like that. There's lots of options for giveaway forms. But the key is to always get people's follow-up. Second, you want to follow up with people that couldn't make it to the class. So say you had somebody that told you they were going to come to your class and then they didn't show up. It's like weird to not follow up with them. So like, for example, if Melissa told me she was going to come over to my house for dinner and she didn't show up, I would text her and I would be like, hey, Melissa, is everything okay? I thought you were going to come over for dinner. And like I would ask her. So with a class, it's the same thing. If you have people that show, I think early on, it's easy to have the assumption of like, oh my gosh, they really don't want oils. And that's why they didn't come. They just said yes because they felt bad for me, or they didn't want to say no, and then we don't follow up. But that's so not true, because people just get busy. Like stuff happens. And I can't even tell you how many times, like, I feel like I'm like, there's not anything that's happened recently, but you follow up with people and they just like say stuff and you're like, oh my gosh, that, like, they tell you about their crazy day. I just totally couldn't make it because my car broke down, or whatever they tell you. Like, that's literally happened to me before. Things like that, where it's just like, yeah, it was real life. They really couldn't make it and they still want to learn about oils. But if I didn't text them, I would have just assumed that they hated me and never wanted to learn about oils again. So just like in everything, like you want to maintain relationship and know that like if you're not following up with somebody because you're assuming something that they're thinking or something that they're not wanting or something like that, you're probably assuming wrong, number one. And number two, if you just keep assuming that and don't do something to bridge the relationship back, either way, if they get doTERRA or not, that relationship is going to be damaged because there's something that's unsaid. Like, it's just weird. Like they know that you're doing doTERRA, they know you invited them to class, and if you never address it, it's just weird. So the third example is obviously following up with new members, both to do a membership overview and even beyond that point. I did not master this again early on. I feel like Melissa really taught me the skill of like continuing to follow up with my people after a membership overview. It really is so key to touch base with your people. And the cool thing is there's so many things that doTERRA has built in that makes it easy for us to follow up with our enrollments, whether it's contacting them and telling them about the Empowered Life series that's coming up. Like, did you hear about that? Do you want to register for it? Or maybe it's your own class that you're doing. Or maybe it's a certain, like you guys see me tagging people on the LDC. The thing that you don't see me doing is I don't usually tag people without talking to them about it. I think it's weird to tag people without talking to them about it because then it's like, I don't know. Like if I tag somebody, it's because I had a membership overview with them and I told them I was going to tag them in some resources that we talked about that were in need of theirs. Or if somebody texts me about a question, I will search on the group and tag them in the answer so they see how much valuable content is on the LDC. And they're empowered then to seek out their own answers. Or if they like I've had this happen multiple times too. You guys have maybe seen this happen, but if a person asks me a question and it's not been answered on the LDC, I go to like the Oleo page or Team Aromasol and I get collective answers from that and from the Essential Life. And then I post it and I'll be like, a friend asked me about this. And so I just wanted to, and I asked their permission. I say, like, do you care if I share my answer publicly so everybody else on the LDC can benefit from it as well? And they'll always say, oh yeah, not a problem. And so then I say, a friend asked me this about how to use oils for, I'm like, one time somebody asked me about PCOS or something. And so I shared it on the page with all the answers that I have collaboratively read about and what I would suggest for that person. I posted it there and that post exploded. Like everybody wanted, there was multiple other people that were like, oh my gosh, that's so helpful. And so anyways, that's just an example of how like then it's like suddenly it was an answer for that person, but it was also an answer for so many other people on the team. And a lot of times it will be your own team members. Like the cool thing about the LDC is, I don't know if you realize, but like Melissa posts a lot. So everybody knows Melissa and everybody values Melissa's opinion. Laura also posts a lot. Everybody loves Laura and everybody wants Laura's opinion. Like it's the same with both of them. That's because they post a lot. And so their people on their team even value their opinion more because they're sharing valuable content that impacts them and helps them. So the cool thing is, I'm not telling like us all to like be posting on there all the time, but the cool thing is like you just like look for those needs, and when people ask you questions, posting them publicly on that page, if your person is okay with it, can be really valuable for that person, but also for the rest of the community. And it will help build like even in you, like the confidence that like people want what you have to share. They want it. And you're going to share it differently than all the rest of the leaders on the LDC. So just some practical examples of how I follow up. And obviously there's another category, and that's related to, yeah, Facebook junkies, right? That brings up a very good point, Michael. If you don't have like Facebook boundaries set up, I encourage you to. Everybody's boundaries can look different, but like when you run a business, like you have to have business hours to a certain extent. I will say that I have never been really great at this because when you're a mom, it just looks different. Let's be real. but I don't live on Facebook all day. Like, I only go on Facebook if I am ready to work. And that means, like, if I'm ready to respond to people's questions, then I go on. And I go on at least once a day, typically, and if not multiple times a day, because if I stay off for too long, then I have like 150 notifications or something. During oil camp, I probably have 80 every single day at least. But like, it became real for me now, but I wish I would have realized it back then, that I just needed to set chunks of time, even if it's for 10 minutes, to go on Facebook, respond to all my notifications, help my people, and then when I'm done, I'm off and I turn off my notifications. I don't have my notifications set on Facebook because I don't want to know until I go on and I'm ready to work. So anyways, I don't know if that's helpful for you guys, but I really encourage you to do that, because if you live on Facebook all day, a lot of times it's going to distract you from other things that are more valuable things to be spending your time on, like residual income wise. Like, it's easy to be like, oh, I'm just like helping my people all day. You want to like have this uncomfortable space where it allows you to share with new people too. So anyways, the last group of people that you can be following up with is sharers, new builders, and then leaders. And that's another thing that I think should just like be a built-in part of your schedule, is like, when am I following up with those people that are on my team? And how am I doing that? How am I offering value and content to them, or like building a relationship with them, all of those things. And then I just have a few other questions and I'll open it up. I don't even know what time it is. Sorry, guys. I get passionate about following up. So with following up, I'm also going to just like point out, I think what's somewhat obvious, but following up with any of these categories of people is always going to be better if it is in person first. Number 2, a phone call. Number 3, a text. And number 4, Facebook Messenger. And I think we're probably all guilty of it, that like Facebook Messenger or text are just easier. And I mean, it is true that there is a certain category of people that will respond quicker when you do those sorts of things, but phone and in-person stuff will escalate how quickly you can build a relationship with somebody so much faster than text or messenger can. And you can communicate like from your heart so much easier with your tone and the fluctuation. Like if you're in person, body language, like people will be able to like read and see your heart and the purity of your heart, and sharing with them so much easier than they can through text or Facebook Messenger. People are used to getting like Facebook messengers about direct sales stuff. And I know that nobody on this call wants to be like everybody else that's in direct sales. So like, I'm not talking when we're following up with like people on our team. I'm more so talking about when you're following up with a new lead, if you can, like talk to them in person or in the phone or on the phone, because it works better. And then the other things I was going to share is, make sure you're focusing, which all of you guys are. I don't even know why I'm saying this, but like truly educating people is so important, which our team is all about. I don't even have to say it. Number 2, respect their time and needs. Like, so if you call them, make sure it's a good time to chat, or even better, schedule a time to chat with them. Number 3, don't push. None of us are doing those things. And then the last thing I'll end with is, it takes on average 7 interactions before somebody's ready. And I think it's easy to think about this in the sense of like for you, how many times were you touched on with oils or about doTERRA before you enrolled? But then also when it comes to getting somebody on Lifelong Vitality Pack or on LRP, how many times do you have to touch that person for them to see the value of LLV or see the value of LRP to switch over and do it? It doesn't usually happen instantaneously. It just doesn't. And so really focusing on your time on how to like build into that is really important. So, okay, I'm done, guys. But I would love to like just quickly open the floor for questions, of course, and then also whether it's on residual income, what doTERRA or what Tyler shared about, or if it's on follow-up, or if any of my silvers and above want to hop on and share something from your experience with residual income or follow-up that you've realized is really important, or anything that you think would benefit people that are on the call, you can go ahead and hop on. Aw, thanks, Michael. You're awesome.
I'll just say that Kristen asked earlier about something that really moved your business forward, a follow-up that you did. And I happened to be at my mother-in-law's house down in Des Moines visiting, and I shared a sample of lavender with my aunt who was passing through. Actually, sorry, Breathe, who was passing through. And she was like in love and told me there that she wanted to buy a bottle of Breathe. And I easily could have just sent her a bottle of Breathe or a roller bottle of Breathe or whatever. But I put on my big girl pants and I called her and I said, hey, I know you wanted that. Was there any other oils you wanted? Because she also, I know, used Young Living oils. And she's like, yeah, actually, I'm running low on this, this, and this. So we ordered her those oils. And then also she said, like, she wanted to learn more from me. So I gave her connections. Then I followed up with her about 2 weeks later and said, hey, I'd love to come up there and teach a class if you ever want me to. And now I have an entire leg up in Minnesota. So you never know where it's going to come from, because at her class, I asked somebody if they would ever consider the business or if they would ever host a class for me, which led to another class. And yeah, they ended up doing the business. So now Minnesota's rocking it. So thanks, Jenny. She's not on this call, but maybe she'll watch the recording.
Yeah, that's awesome. So good. And just a little thing that I thought of while she's saying that, anything that you consider like a flop, like anybody ever taught a class and nobody enrolls, or say you're in Diamond Club and you fly somewhere and there's 2 people that come to a class and they don't enroll, and you like flew there just to teach a class and like nothing happens. Anybody had that happen? Nothing is ever a flop. It never is with follow-up. Like, oh my gosh, like so the reason I flew to this place was because of a builder in Waco, and she's there now and just shared a bunch of samples in the coffee shop that I had a class with 2 people that didn't enroll, and all the baristas are enrolling with that builder. Well, she's kind of a share there. And now they want classes there. And so now this girl is going to start to teach classes there too. So it's anyway, like my point is follow-up is the key, because I have talked with the builder here in Waco about that situation multiple times since, like it hasn't just dropped. So it also helps you flip your perspective on what failure truly is: a lack of action. Anybody else? Mel, do you have any life-changing decisions you made? Decisions to do stuff?
I really don't think that there was, I don't know, nothing's really coming to mind. I just feel like the biggest key in my business has been consistency. There's just never been a week that I have not done doTERRA. And I just see it with new people starting out, and even some more established, what I would say established builders, is they're still just trying to find time to do doTERRA. And it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. I would still be a silver if I was just trying to find time to do doTERRA. It just doesn't work. I have to, even today, I do a childcare swap, and the lady's like, I know that it's super stormy, so if you don't want to drive your kids, I totally understand. And I'm like, heck no, I'll be shoveling my driveway before I skip my doTERRA time today. And y'all know that would be crazy for me to get out and shovel my driveway. So I just, I only shoveled the 2 paths behind the tires. But I got out and I took my kids to their child swap because I was not going to miss my doTERRA time today. And you know what happened during my doTERRA time today? A random lady called me and enrolled with me. And I would not have been available for that if I would have had my kids at home and I was trying to do whatever. So anyway, it doesn't have to look the same. It doesn't mean your kids have to leave your house. It doesn't mean you have to do a child swap. It doesn't mean it has to look like me. But I just can't say enough about the consistency of doTERRA time. I just think if you started a brand new business and you showed up into that brick and mortar place as often as you actually clock into doTERRA every week, let's say it's 1.5, 2 hours. That's all you showed up to your brick and mortar, brand new business. Like your employees were doing the rest. Like how well would that place function? Like you'd show up and there'd be a disaster. You'd be fixing holes like all throughout your business. And so anyway, it's just consistency. You don't even have to be good at follow-up. You just have to be consistent at doing it and it'll work itself out. So
Totally.
Anyway, I learned a lot. Chris.
Thanks, Mel. Is Londa on? I'm gonna have her share one last time. Is she still here? Man. John, are you here? John, Londa. Maybe she's putting Brian to sleep. She has a good story. I feel like she could share multiple from recent, but I don't know if she's there. Anyways, it's late. Thank you guys for all sticking on. Again, same as last week. So proud of you guys that are still showing up, because I promise you the things you're learning now are going to create huge ripple effects in your businesses. So yeah, super proud of you. And I'm excited to see you all again next week. Bye, guys.